kind of, actually. Good evening, and thank you all for coming. I'd like to open the meeting, the regular meeting of the New Canaan Board of Education, this Monday, November 17th, 2025, and we'll start with our swearing-in ceremony.
Good evening. Phil, you're up first. Okay.
Go closer.
And also the mic.
Okay.
Okay. Repeat after me. I, Phil Hogan,
I, Phil Hogan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut,
and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut,
so long as I continue
so long as I continue
a citizen thereof,
a citizen thereof,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
according to law,
according to law,
the duties as a member of the Board of Education
the duties as a member of the Board of Education
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for serving.
Thank
Here, signature. No. And you get one of these books. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Alves? Okay, just speak into the mic.
Great, thank you.
Raise your right hand. I, Hugo Alves,
I, Hugo Alves,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut,
and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut,
so long as I continue
so long as I continue
a citizen thereof,
a citizen thereof,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
according to law,
according to law,
the duties as a member of the Board of Education
the duties as a member of the Board of Education
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for serving.
Thank you.
Here's your signature.
Claudia didn't even look down. I don't know if you guys know.
A little bit of practice.
Where am I going?
You're going right here. And I'm going to give this to you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Mrs. Shodell? Talk into the, okay. Okay. I, Erica Schwedel,
I, Erica Schwedel,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut,
and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut,
so long as I continue
so long as I continue
a citizen thereof,
a citizen thereof,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
according to law,
according to law,
the duties as a member of the Board of Education
the duties as a member of the Board of Education
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, and thank you for serving. Sorry, sure. Okay, thank you. This is Brambilla. Nice to see you again. Yes. Kate, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kate Brambilla,
I, Kate Brambilla,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut,
and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut,
so long as I continue
so long as I continue
a citizen thereof,
a citizen thereof,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
according to law,
according to law,
the duties as a member of the Board of Education
the duties as a member of the Board of
to
Education
the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Right here.
Yeah. Mr. K? There you go. Thank you. Okay. So repeat after me. I, Joshua Kay,
I, Joshua Kay,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut,
and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut,
so long as I continue
so long as I continue
a citizen thereof,
a citizen thereof,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
according to law,
according to law,
the duties as a member of the Board of Education
the duties as a member of the Board of
to the
Education
best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, and thank you for serving. Thank you very much. Okay, and for the new members, there's just a little bit of housekeeping. Oh, yeah, he didn't take, back here, Joshua. Sorry. Who didn't get a folder? Could you bring it over? Thank you. Just a little bit of housekeeping. The first page, I gave you all a folder, and all new board, commission members, and elected officials received this. And the first page we ask you to fill out is for our information only. And if you please fill that out and just put it aside, and then we'll go to the next page after that. And I understand Dr. Lutzi is the keeper of many pens, so if you need one. I didn't see one follow along. I forgot my own, so I'm going to use yours, if that's okay. No, the packet. I think I remember it, okay. I wonder if that's for me. Okay. Yep. The next page that you will see, if you're all finished, is a memo about requirements for filing your agendas and filing your minutes. The next page is the introduction to the Code of Ethics. And following that is the Code of Ethics. And the Ethics Board has created 2 forms for you, and I'm giving them to you today. You do not need to fill them out unless you have a conflict of interest. One is if you have a conflict of interest that is of a financial nature, and the other form is if you have one of a personal nature. And if you do, then you would fill out these forms and file them with me within 10 days. So if you would then fill out the next form that you get, that you see, which states that you have received the Code of Ethics and you acknowledge its content. And then if you would put that aside. Perfect, okay. The paper that follows is a kind of a cheat sheet for Freedom of Information that tells you about the different types of meetings that you have and what the requirements are. The next 2 packets are from workshops that we've had for Freedom of Information from 2 different law firms. A lot of legalese in there, but it has good definitions. And then the last thing is our public records policy. And just reminding you that all the records that you deal with are public records, and they're not yours to necessarily throw away. And I'm sure you'll be guided through that without any problem. So, and if you would just turn that over, and the last page is a form that says that you have received the public records policy that was adopted by the town of New Canaan. And then if you wouldn't mind passing all those forms that you filled out over to me, it would be great. Okay. And that's your bedtime reading. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claudia. We're going to take a very, oh, thank you. Take a short break so that we can get some pictures of all the folks that were what do they call them? Newly sworn in with the families.
Safe travels.
Oh, thank you.
You guys are good here, yeah. Yes, I will. Thank you.
Take pictures with your family, please. Years ago. That's right. And we can do it right here with the flags in the back if you like. Yeah, you can get a marking time for your site. Go for it, Eric. Right here.
In front of the flag, you guys be in front of it.
You can come in. You can come in and picture.
Not even a question, it was on, no. Wonderful. Yes. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Hogan?
Yeah, it works.
NCPS in the corner.
Love it. Thank you.
Usually we have Michelle Schneider doing this for us, but she's.
Stick it right over here.
No, I'm just gonna hold it.
There we go. Great.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. All right.
See you later.
All right.
We're good. We're good.
That's your gig.
Okay, you ready?
All right, he's gonna run it. Oh, you have
Open
to
it.
pledge your
Open to
religion?
Open to the organizational
Oh.
meeting and then.
All right, thank you.
with the new chair.
Next up, the organizational segment of the meeting with the election of officers, led by Deanna Carlson, our first selectman.
All right, thank you, Hugo. So this is one of my great privileges as first selectman to run all the officer elections for all boards and commissions in town. So, and for me, this board is obviously a little bit extra special. It hasn't been that long since I was sitting where all of you are today. So I guess we'll start out. I have before me a motion to suspend the bylaw 9120 for a period of 1 year, thereby suspending the 2-year term limited for Board of Education chair. Do I have a motion? All right, seeing no motion, we will move on. If I could get a call for nominations for the Board of Education chair. You go.
I'd like to nominate Phil Hogan. I've served on the board of the Phil for the past 4 years, as you all know. In that time, I've gotten to know Phil very well. He's a dedicated father, husband, board member, and well-respected member of our community. While on the board, he's served in the executive committee twice as vice chair. He's also been a member of the communications and was chair of the facilities committee. Phil played an important role in the search committee for our East principal and our West assistant principal, while frequently attending budget-related meetings with various town boards. As I've said before, serving on this board has a steep learning curve, and I feel that Phil's experience, knowledge, the relationships that he's developed with the cabinet, administrators, and other board members position him and the rest of the board for continued success.
Do I have a second? Erica? Okay. Do I have any further nominations for the office of chair? Seeing none. All those in favor for Phil Hogan for the office of chair? All those opposed? Okay, so we have, yeah, motion passes. Lisa has the count.
Yep.
Okay. All right, moving on. If we could move to the office of vice chair. Do I have nominations for the office of vice chair? Brendan?
I'd like to nominate Hugo. I think Hugo's done a fabulous job as chair the past couple of years. I think he's done a great job working with the administration, helping us through some challenging issues from time to time, and make progress as a board, which hasn't always been easy, but I think you've done a great job and would love to see you continue in an executive role. Thanks.
Right. Do I have a second?
Thank you. I appreciate the nomination. I'm really flattered. It's been an honor to serve as chair the past 2 years. Chair the past 2 years on executive committee, but I have to respectfully decline that nomination. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Do I have any further nominations for the office of vice chair? All right, Matt.
So it's my privilege to nominate Laura Kelly for the position of vice chair. Through the last 2 years on the board, Laura has been a strong and vocal member of the Board of Education. Steadfast in her convictions, but collaborative in her approach, she's been a strong advocate for parental rights, transparency, special education, and student safety. She works constructively with the administration, asking thorough questions, listening, and being thoughtful in her discussions. And Laura understands that real progress comes from partnership, not noise, and brings a grounded, solutions-oriented perspective to every discussion. Most importantly, she leads with conviction. Through her time on the board, Laura has shown that she's willing to show up and do the work and stand for what she believes in. Finally, and maybe most importantly, I think for those that know her, she's one of the nicest, most genuine people on the board. So I am proud to nominate Laura Kelly for the position of vice chair.
Okay. Do I have a second? Matt? Okay. Do I have any further nominations for the office of vice chair? Seeing none, all those in favor of Laura Kelly for vice chairman, raise your hand. Okay, you got it, Lisa. All those opposed? It's unanimous. Congratulations. All right, and then finally, if I could get nominations for the office of secretary. Brendan?
Excuse me. I'd like to nominate Erica. Erica's been on the executive committee for the last 3 years. She's probably the most energetic person on our board. She can't really be contained in terms of her dedication to the board, dedication to the community, and just really leads by example from that perspective. She's extremely focused on really what's best for the kids in New Canaan, and she does a great job, I think, at bridging gaps and disagreements on the board, and helps us move things forward, similar to the comments I made about Hugo. So with that, I nominate Erica.
Right. Do I have a second? Bill. All right. All those in favor? Oh, sorry. Thank you. Any further nominations for the office of secretary? Yes, Matt.
I actually have a statement and before my nomination. Earlier this year, it came to my attention that Mr. Hogan and Ms. Schudel, along with the DTC, colluded in an attempt to interfere with the outcome of the recent election. Like many in my party, I've been long uncomfortable with the nature of the relationship, but this truly surprised me. I vehemently opposed any deal that would deprive New Canaan residents of the best potential representatives for the BOE. I believe this level of collusion to be unethical and antithetical to values I hold dear. When I became aware that Ms. Toll would be the casualty of their deal, I wrote a letter to the New Canaanite to try to thwart their collusion. Unfortunately, I was unsuccessful, and we lost an effective member who had served tirelessly for 4 years. There were also several attempts by those involved to viciously defame me and my family and to isolate me just for opposing them. The culmination of that deal is what you've witnessed here tonight. Mr. Hogan and his very close friend, Ms. Schudel, on the executive committee together again, with Mr. Hogan as chair. Those that voted for his chairmanship, including Republicans, were complicit in this deal. When I was elected, I pledge to always speak the truth and to stand on integrity. I cannot be an effective board member without partaking of the fruit of this poisonous tree. Therefore, effective immediately, I hereby resign my position as a member of the New Canaan Board of Education. I would like to thank all those who have supported me, and I hope you're pleased with my work for our district despite my abbreviated service. I would like to thank the administration, especially Dr. Lutzy and his cabinet, for their amazing work and support. I will continue to support them as a private citizen. I will continue to advocate for initiatives that are important for our community. I truly love our schools and hope for their continued success. Thank you.
All right. Are there any further nominations for the office of secretary? Seeing none, all those in favor of Erica Schwedel for the office of secretary? All those opposed? Okay. So congratulations to Erica. I'd like to thank all the past board members for this board, and congratulations to all the new board members. You have a lot of work ahead of you, so I wish you all the best and a collegial and collaborative experience in the coming year. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carlson.
All right. Out of the way now.
We'll take a swap.
Yeah.
Do a quick swap here.
Look at your nameplate.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
The green's not really my color.
So now you're going to lead us in the pledge, reviewing the agenda, minutes, comments, and then I'll take that.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the New Canaan Board of Education for Monday, November 17th, 2025. And we're going to start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
And tonight, the flag is out.
Thank you. So first, we're going to review and approve the agenda for November 17, 2025. It's going to start with an approval of the minutes for November 3rd, 2025.
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
So can I get a motion to approve the agenda for November 17, 2025? Brendan, can I get a second? Erica? All those in favor?
You can vote to approve this is tonight's agenda. You can't vote on the minutes. You weren't there, but you can vote on the agenda.
It is now unanimous. And we're going to approve the minutes from November 3rd, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes? Laura? Second, Matt Wexler. All in favor? Unanimous with Kate and Josh abstaining there. Comments from the public? To ensure the public's right to be heard, the board sets aside, 2 minutes for each speaker. Is there anyone who'd like to approach the board? Seeing no one, we're going to move on. To reports and recognition. The first aspect of that is going to be our facilities conditions assessment report. And I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Lutzy briefly.
Perfect. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Phil, and congratulations.
Thank you.
I am thrilled to introduce our speakers tonight to share with us the facilities assessment report that's been conducted. I want to first, as we go into it, commend the team for their very careful study and the work that you've done. I know, Philip, you'll talk about that for a moment or two. But to really, on behalf of New Canaan, thank you for the good work that you've accomplished. And I'm thrilled to introduce Philip Conti, who is here with Studio Jade as the representative and CEO of the company, and our friend Jim Hoagland, who's back from SLAM, who has also been working with us and helping with this facilities assessment. Phil, it's all yours.
Great, thank you. Congratulations to all of the newly elected officials. We have a lot of information to dump on you tonight. Sorry for that, but I want to give you a little bit of a background and some thought process as you start looking at a lot of information with some very large numbers. So we are an architecture and engineering company in Delaware and Rhode Island, and we do facility condition assessments across the country and in Canada. We've recently done these for your neighbors in Stamford, Waterbury, Princeton University, the state of New Jersey, and the state of Rhode Island. So we use that expertise of being an architect and an engineer to send folks into your facilities and look at the existing condition. And we have developed databases that allow us to apply order of magnitude costs to these corrections that are meant to inform you as the owner, as stewards of these buildings, on what you should be expecting over the next 10 to 15 years. For example, we've probably all been impacted by an unexpected home repair, right? We don't want that to happen at a major capital scale for a large district such as yours, where you have almost 1 million square feet just among 5 buildings, which is a little unique. Typically, our assessments go over a 10-year period. We were asked to go 15. I can tell you from my experience that regardless of the resources of any institution, nobody ever reduces their deferred maintenance to 0. And rarely do they ever plan farther out than maybe 7 years. Just too many things change. Administration changes, priority changes, things beyond everyone's control. So although we're going to be talking about a 15-year forecast over $250 million, we need to put that in perspective, and that you really should be focusing over priorities over the next 7 years that have an order of magnitude more like $100 million. Now, that is not an insignificant number. And I can tell you what this facility condition is not. It is not simply a work order task that you would give to your facilities department and say, okay, good luck. This is but one piece of a larger planning tool. It should be referenced continuously by your facilities department and your administration as you're looking to make other decisions. We want you to make the most informed decision, programmatically, financially, as well as from a physical plant standpoint. So do not be alarmed by the value of projected deferred maintenance. This does not mean that you have neglected your building. It simply means you have a significant amount of square footage that you need to maintain for decades, while also balancing a larger planning effort that the SLAM Collaborative is going to be working with you on, so that you can look at everything combined. So I wanted to make sure you were all calm before we proceed. And this is not uncommon, and I'm happy to answer any questions as they come up. So feel free to interrupt, raise your hand. I'm a very chill guy, so you can just casually interrupt, not a problem at all. So the process was we had 3 folks come through the building. Each one represented either the architecture, mechanical, or electrical groups. I happen to be an architect. My partner, Pam Babuka, who could not be here this evening, spearheaded this project, and she spearheads all of our facility condition assessment projects, but I'm pretty confident in my ability to explain some of the data and explain the process and why we did this. So first off, congratulations for taking this step and not necessarily exposing, but recognizing that when we do this type of work, we're going to bring to your attention significant amount of work across building systems that you now need to consider more routinely as you go through your capital planning process and your major project process. And it's all good. There is a lot of detailed information here. Some of it is more geared towards your facilities folks, where they could actually drill down into what is the expected useful life of some boilers at the high school, for example, or validation in that, hey, looking at the couple elementary schools, we see a couple building envelope categories that are lower than one particular one. Well, that means you've invested in that school recently, and that's why that need is less. Typically, our need is based on the categories of priorities from 1 to 4, and priorities 1 are within 1 to 3 years, the priority 2 is within 5 years, priority 3 within 10, and priority 4 within 15. And as I get, again, based on my experience, we really need to focus in between the priority 2 and 3. A lot of this information is in a database form, which we're able to share with you all through Excel. Some facilities directors have taken that data and added their own columns and started to really use that information, so we would encourage that. This is meant to be a living document, and I would encourage you to revisit a facility condition assessment in 7 to 10 years again, just to see what has changed. So before I go any farther, are there any initial questions, thoughts? All right. Okay. Well, let's, I want to walk you through a couple of the reports that we're providing. This first one is project-wide, which is a total of all of the work at all of the schools. If we start in the upper left-hand column, we have an estimated low and high range of deferred maintenance, the opportunities for those capital improvements within 3, 5, 10, and 15 years that total, like I said, over $250 million. You see in the last column basically what percentage of the need is going to be due when. And within 3 years, the priority 1, the first group of projects that you would want to consider, whether it's just capital improvement or part of a planning process, is about 13%, which is not that bad. It's not uncommon to see in that pie chart a large portion of the work to be mechanical. Our assessment is based off the useful life of equipment. Now, we have seen equipment last much longer than its useful life. Some municipalities have no choice than other to continually extend that. It all depends on how well you operate and maintain. Yes?
Philip, I'm curious, are these in today's dollars as we look out 5, 10, 15 years?
Yes,
Or
these
they-
are today's dollars.
Okay, so there's
yes.
no escalation in.
Correct. There is no escalation because we're uncertain of when a particular project would occur.
Got it. Thank you.
So we would want to keep that in mind. And I believe on our detailed assessment, it does say that total cost is based on unescalated 2025 third quarter data. As I said, mechanical is usually the highest one, followed by electrical, and that's pretty easy correlation to make. These buildings were designed mostly to have only heating and ventilation, and following COVID, we have seen the importance of indoor air quality. We also know that when we introduce cooling into the buildings, when we replace equipment, teaching and learning is improved. However, we've also found that when we introduce cooling into these buildings, there is a need for an entire new electrical distribution associated with it. So many of these things are tied together that it's not necessarily your responsibility to understand the mechanics of it, but to empower and encourage your facility folks to understand this data and continually reference this when you work with programmatic changes. Projects that may involve renovation or additions or the decision to maybe remove a school, add a school. This is one piece of the puzzle that I would encourage you to at least ask. So when you're working with SLAM on master planning or educational specifications, you ask them, have you considered the facility condition assessment report? Have you incorporated that? If we did X, what does that mean? If we did Y, what does that mean? Because again, this is not meant to be just a work order task. That's not what it's for. It's meant to help you make informed decisions regarding much bigger projects. And your facilities folks can dive into this data so they can keep an eye on those boilers at the high school, right? They're approaching end of useful life in 10 years. Well, they could go 15 years, or you could have a catastrophic failure in 5. It's situational awareness. That's what this document is meant to be. The next slide, and we can go back and forth as we need to. Let's try this. No? No? There you go, East Elementary. So we provided a summary sheet for each school. East Elementary is a good example where you look at building envelope. That's a relatively small amount of money. In the bottom right-hand column, the first line, that is only about $100,000 compared to the next school, South Elementary, for example, which is over $1 million, which would indicate to me that you have invested some money in the building envelope at East Elementary. Recognizing that there is still work at East Elementary, and again, not surprising that about 42% of it is going to be mechanical. And I'll use this as another example. You would have a choice. You could say, okay, we're going to replace the gas-fired boilers at East Elementary when they fail. Or the community may have an initiative to decarbonize, move from fossil fuels. But hey, we want to introduce air conditioning at East Elementary because we want to provide air conditioning to the elementary schools. It's a project we just recently did in Rhode Island where they wanted parity across the elementary schools. So we engaged in a project that brought air conditioning to all the classrooms to all their elementary schools. That was a result of a project, our facility condition assessment that we would have done several years ago for them said that, hey, you're going to have to replace some gas-fired boilers in a few years. Well, they chose not to replace them. They chose to change the system and combined it with an overall district project. So that's what I'm saying is constant communication and reference back to this so that you're making the most informed and right decision for the district at that particular time. Let's go to the next one. South Elementary, a lot of these numbers align and are consistent with the other elementary schools. These are large elementary schools, approximately 80,000 square foot each. That's not talking about capacity or programmatic space, but it's a large facility to have to maintain from a heating standpoint, from a piping standpoint, certainly from a roofing standpoint. So it looks like there's some building envelope work here to do, and I'm happy to define some of these if necessary. Building envelope is roof and windows. Electrical is electrical. Fire alarm and fire protection is the sprinkler system. Interior architecture. So I want to define that just so you know. The interior architecture, this does not mean that we're renovating or we're moving walls or anything like that. Interior architecture is addressing the condition of walls, floors, ceilings, doors. It is not thinking, oh, well, we can renovate. That's not what this is. This is simply defining what you have currently. Mechanical is this heating and ventilation and air conditioning in some cases. Plumbing is plumbing, and site improvements are asphalt, paving, roadways, sidewalks, etc. West Elementary, again, consistent with the other elementary schools. Again, limited building envelope work here, for example. Because that means that you must have done recent building envelope work at this particular school. But I'll call your attention to the next one. The middle school.
Sorry, I had a question.
Yes.
Just looking at east, south, and west, they all look like they were renovated around the same time, but south and west seem to have very similar sorts of investments over time, around 26.5 million. But east has somewhat less at 19.5. Just wondering, in your experience, if that's common to see that the last renovation on all three buildings was basically the same time, but that the investment that we're going to need to do over the next 15 years does vary.
Sure, and I cannot speak to the work that was renovated at that time. I don't know if it was the same across all the buildings. It may have been different, which would have resulted in a different result almost 10 years later. So that speaks to my point about making sure the facilities group is continually referencing this with your group that's planning major projects or other future investments so that you can prioritize. I have a slide that may speak to this a little bit more when we talk about a summary, which I'm almost there. I promise we'll get there. The middle school, for example, I'll just use the building envelope. So at $7 million, this is a large middle school, 275,000 square feet, which means there is a considerable amount of roof area as well as perimeter of window area. So I can tell you that it's unlikely that any particular district would say, we're going to just fix this. It's meant, like I said, to be a tool. This maybe is something that's phased. If I could give you a little bit of counsel, it's on this. You are probably going to be looking at some major financial investments in your facilities. It's a balance between what people will see and what you actually need. For example, people don't see roof replacements. They don't see HVAC replacements. So I would encourage you to always try to strike that balance between facility improvements and programmatic improvements. And I know that may be just common sense, but too often we see people just going down one path and it's a little, misaligned. So a balance is always the preferred option. Because although we've identified a 5, 7, 10, 15-year window, that doesn't mean that on the first day of the 11th year that the equipment just fails, right? It's if you are negligent and not observant of your own facilities, well, then you are at risk. But this is meant to be a tool so that you can make those informed decisions and then prioritize. Where do you want to invest the money? Let's go to the high school quickly. And the high school, even larger facility, 375,000 square feet is huge. Beautiful, but it is a significant asset that certainly requires a lot of investment when you approach, for example, the mechanical system, right? The mechanical system we have projected here to replace what you have is over $45 million. Now, would you simply want to just replace what you have, or would you want to make strategic improvements that maybe address the worst area but because we're in that area, we can redo an art room. And let's introduce air conditioning in that area because that is programmatically what's best. Again, we don't want to make this a $47 million project by itself. That's not the right approach. The right approach is to know that, hey, our mechanical system is a significant investment. We need to continue to maintain it. And if we're going to make renovations, let's keep that in mind. The next slide is a little interesting in that it's a report that we call WHERE. So in this chart, we have identified the schools in the left-hand column. And in the middle of the chart is the priorities, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we highlight with the red cell the highest values, the top 15%. So if we look at those priority 1 projects, the ones that we think need to be done within 1 to 3 years, where do they show up the most? And that is at West, and it's at the middle school. So if you wanted to just have this data point, thinking, okay, West and the middle school probably need some attention. Then as you start working your way through, you see that the high school, well, that needs attention in priorities 2 and 3 and 4. Recognizing that over the almost entire 15-year campaign, that there's going to be a significant need at the high school. Doesn't mean you have to do all of these, just means that this is kind of where the need is relative to time and priority. The next slide is what we call what. So again, we identify the schools in the left-hand column, and in the middle of the chart, we have the categories that we have used in the assessment: building envelope, electrical, fire alarm, interior architecture, mechanical, plumbing, site. And we have identified the top 15%. And if we look at each category, for example, at Sachs Middle School, that is the one that needs the most investment for building envelope. If we look at electrical, South Elementary. If we look at the high school, fire alarm, interior architecture, and site improvements. And then at West, mechanical and plumbing. This is a way that we can compare each building without necessarily looking at the total cost, because this is based on a gross square foot as opposed to the total cost. So this is just another data point if you were thinking about what type of projects we should start planning for. Also where we should start planning for. And then it's like a recipe. This is just one of the ingredients in your overall master planning exercise. So now, I have dumped a lot on you unfairly, so I apologize, but I'm happy to answer questions and start talking.
Thank you very much, guys. It's a lot to digest. Brendan?
So I guess a couple questions. First, can you give an example of something that's done with the electrical system when we'd have to, let's just say, replace air conditioning? We're not,
Sure.
adding air conditioning, but to me, electrical is just a bunch of lines and
Sure, absolutely.
breakers, things like that.
I have had this discussion many times with my electrical engineers and saying, why does this show up? Why does it cost so much? It either works or it doesn't work. So within the electrical numbers, they constantly remind me that the vintage of the schools typically have panels and breakers that are no longer manufactured. And breakers within those panels are no longer manufactured. And as you start making revisions and changes, schools that were once designed for minimal electrical distribution in a classroom, like 1 or 2 outlets in a classroom, we all know how much we rely on power for all our devices. So districts have continually added on, and they've expanded these panels. And now they're at a point where they can expand no more, or the breakers are not going to be able to be replaced. So it is a significant investment. It's also one of the higher wage trades that we have come across in our experience. Certainly, when you introduce air conditioning to any of these buildings, the elementary schools, for example, the ones that we just did in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, we ended up bringing all new electrical service to each one of those elementary schools, from a measly 400 amp service that did the whole school to now a 1,000 amp service. That's big power. We're running air conditioning, we're running compressors. Everybody wants more distribution within their classrooms. So it's a little deceiving. And yes, electrical is off on. But if you start making changes, you seriously want to have that discussion. Are we going to introduce cooling in the future? Are we going to change our lighting to LED, which reduces the load, but not significant enough to support air conditioning?
Okay, that's helpful, thanks. And then one other question. We've done a lot over the years on when we've upgraded mechanical systems, heating, cooling, et cetera. We've tended to do so like going to natural gas, where we're saving money over time. Is that something that you'd expect in some of these projects, that we'd end up spending money, but we're reducing our annual cost?
So there are multiple camps when it comes to mechanical replacement. And no one is particularly right. We have found that when districts have gone all electric, it has come at a significant cost, both in initial capital as well as the potential for operations. Natural gas, now I'm speaking as a representative of just my own company. Our engineering best practice is that natural gas is still a clean source of energy that provides our owners with the most efficient and cost-effective solution, yet it's not fossil-free independent. That is a decision that you all will want to make. I could tell you a project we're doing now, I won't say where, but it is a public safety building, a building that runs 24/7. It's for a small-size city that houses both police and fire. We are replacing two of the largest rooftop units we have ever replaced. They are mandating that we disconnect the gas, and these are all electric units. These were custom-built units that's going to take over a year to just fabricate. We have tried, and we're unsuccessful, and we will, hopefully I'll be able to come back in a year or two from now and tell you how that worked out for them. But I went off on a tangent, I apologize. This whole electrical thing just is crazy. Speaking from someone who has solar on their house, by the way, so I'm all into it. But when we are trying to heat and cool buildings to a very strict indoor air quality standard, we think all electric is challenging.
Yeah, I want to frame that as well and just remind everybody that 3 months ago, we were talking about options for renovating and putting additions on or downsizing the 3 elementary schools. So that's really why this whole conversation got started. And I think it's a perfect example of one of the things that you all are going to have to think about and debate as you move forward and really decide which plan you want to move forward with for the elementary schools. We had some really robust discussions, 3 months ago. And that's really kind of what pushed us into this facility condition assessment so that we could understand what the true expenditure would be just to maintain the facilities that you do have. So I think this report gives you exactly, that information, and I think it's a great stepping off point. But I want to frame it saying this report, in the grand scheme of the master plan and looking at the elementary schools and enrollment issues that you have, this is really a do-nothing option. So if you don't reconfigure grades, if you don't do anything with the elementary schools, this is still conditions in the facilities that you're going to have to address at some point. So one of the scope items that we had included in this is a back check against that master plan. So as you move forward and start discussing this, SLAM's going to come back and go, we've gone through all these facility condition assessments. We're trying to get our hands around it, understand it, but we really want to back check it against some of the things we talked about as far as potential solutions for the elementary school SACs, moving pre-K into SACs and all of those. So I think this is going to be a really useful tool in the long run as you move forward to look back and isolate wings in buildings and see even, which wings in each building are in the worst shape. And in the grand scheme of things, maybe it's not replacing an entire electrical service that comes into one of the elementary schools. If the solution that you move forward with is to make that school smaller somehow, or do a minor renovation, maybe that system replacement comes off the table, and I think you're going to have to factor that into what the plan moving forward with big picture is. So just wanted to mention that and keep that in the back of your mind. So this can act as a standalone report for each building and all 5 buildings collectively, but I think it's a piece, it's a cog within the bigger picture that you need to look at long term.
Josh.
Thanks. I'm glad you raised the elementary schools. Are there particular categories of capital expenditures that would be particularly impacted if we were to expand one or more of the elementary schools? Right, if we're building onto the roof, we're not going to work on the roof right now. Are there other categories we should be thinking about when thinking about the overall impact on the facilities maintenance as we're considering these options?
Yeah, and I think that's probably the first evaluation that we need to go through, is understand exactly what the priorities are. And I think the last thing that this town would want to do is unnecessarily spend money in the next year or two just to see it undone in a major renovation in one of those buildings. So I think it's important to understand what's in this report, and it's important for this board to really prioritize how you want to move forward, and there's so many scenarios and so many nuances to this, and I think it's going to take a lot of conversations so that everybody can fully understand what the impact of each and every one of those decisions is moving forward. So
that work hasn't been done yet, is what I'm hearing.
No.
I can tell you that we didn't observe any catastrophic failures. So there's not like an imminent threat to your facilities.
Well, I guess in that vein, I'm curious to know, it says 93% district-wide is primary justification is useful life.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to me, like, again, I haven't seen a report like this, but 93 is typically a pretty high number in any percentage. Is that what you generally see, or is that indicative of the shape of the buildings today? Is that meaningful in any way?
Sure. So it's important to know that within the report, we give justifications. Useful life is one that often comes up because we're basing our assessment on how long will this air handling unit last. We expect it to have been installed maybe in the 1980s. And we know that this particular piece of equipment from the manufacturer and the industry standards has a useful life of approximately 30 years. So when we look at a 15-year window, will that air handling unit reach the end of its useful life within our window of assessment? And if it is, then it shows up on our report. That does not mean that on the day after the 30th year that it fails. This is the importance, this is where some municipalities who have been good stewards of their buildings are able to have their equipment continue to run and run and run. So it's not uncommon for us to find equipment that's 40 years old. Yes, it is beyond its useful life, but it is still functioning because it has been maintained over the last 40 years. So, as Jim mentioned, this is just one part of it, and there's a lot of discussion and thinking that needs to go around any decision involving facilities.
Erica.
Yeah, building off that, it does look like the vast majority of this is useful life. Is there anything in here that we could consider discretionary, or we have an option to do it at multiple levels? Or is there anything in here that we really have a choice, or is this really all the requirements of code and the expectations of what our buildings need to be at, and there's no real flexibility on all of the expected costs that we...
Sure, that's a great question. So this is a facilities condition assessment. It assesses the existing conditions, and it's based on what would need to be repaired or replaced to go back to its original state. So it is broken down in universally accepted systems, such as the ones I went through, building envelope, electrical, mechanical. And none of these represent wants, because, this is a great example, because our job was to walk through your buildings and look at what you have today. Jim's job is going to be walking through the buildings, talking about what your wants are, and seeing how the two align. So, no, there's nothing really discretionary in here. But again, when I started in the beginning, do not be shocked by the total value amount, because it's not uncommon for these numbers to be high, and just to use it as a guide on where you should target your investments.
Yeah, and I'll add that one of the observations that the team made was that the facilities team does a wonderful job maintaining these buildings. So that is an option. We identify useful life. It's kind of a gray zone. I think the thing that's working in your benefit is that the facilities crew does a great job maintaining these. And, many of these systems that, show up in the report, their useful life is 10 years. If that system is maintained over the next, 8 years, that useful life, we could expect to expand a little bit, but there's a cost to maintaining those systems, and that this report doesn't really take that into account. So like Phil said, we don't see any catastrophic failures right around the corner, but this is a comprehensive list that identifies all of those systems and, kind of raises a little red flag, just so you're aware that they do eventually need to get replaced. And, the interesting thing is, how does that work into the bigger plan? And, money-wise, so it's going to be an interesting conversation for you.
Any other questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's great.
So we'll move on to statement of accounts with our Director of Finance, Sean O'Keefe.
Good evening and welcome to the new board members. I'll start on page 1 in the package, the executive summary. In our operating fund, which detail of which is on pages 3 through 8, I'll just cover the summary at the executive level. Our expense actual through October is $29.5 million, which represents 26.0% of our full year budget of $113.8. An additional $75 million or so, 66% of the budget is encumbered, leaving a remaining balance of $9.4 million, or 8% of the budget, which is unencumbered at this point. Now, I mentioned that our attainment of budget is 26.0%. When comparing that attainment to the same period a year ago, we spent 26.2% a year ago, we're at 26.0, so we're spending at a slightly slower pace than we were a year ago, which is a good thing. Some of that may be due to timing, but overall, it's a good thing that we're spending a little bit slower. Grants, on detail of which is on page 9 to 10 in the package. Awarded grants to date, $1.947 million. Of that, we've spent $383,000, which leaves a remaining balance as of October 31st of $1,564,000. School lunch on pages 11 through 12. As of October, our school lunch revenue is $752,000, or 23.6% of our full-year budget of $3.2 million, and represents a year-to-year increase of $32,000, or 4.5%. That relates to an approved budget of 3%, so we're doing a little bit better this year versus budget on sales. Sales revenue is up $31,000, or 4.5%, and catering is up $4,000, or 19.6%. On expenses through October, we've spent $653,000, or 21% of the budget, and it represents a year-to-year increase of $94,000, or 16.8%. That expense through October includes delayed invoices from dairy and paper goods and groceries that were billed late and didn't get reflected until October. Net income through October currently showing a positive $99,000, and that results in our fund balance increasing to $759,000. In the other funds, facilities, rentals, donations, and summer school, the detail of which is on pages 13 through 14. Facility rentals revenue $39,000 through October, expenses of $114K, net income minus $75,000, leaving a fund balance of $378,000. For donations, to date, revenue $58,000, expenses $54,000, net income of positive $4K, and a fund balance of $154,000. And finally, summer school, revenue of $113K, expenses of $114,000, net income of minus $1,000, and leaving a fund balance of $143,000. Questions?
Any questions for Sean? Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to move on to the action items. We have a laptop donation.
We do. I am thrilled to bring this to the board. We have an extremely generous donation of 57 Windows 11 laptops from the Balin Group, LLC, right here in New Canaan, valued at $14,750. These laptops are part of a refresh cycle for the company, and thanks to the person sitting to my right, the company thought of donations to the New Canaan Public Schools. And these are great laptops that run Windows 11, will serve incredible, important purposes for us. I'm going to say thank you to Hugo for bringing this to us, and I'm thrilled to bring this to the board for your consideration. Ian has looked at the laptops. He's test-driven one for a little while, and I think it might be tough to get him to donate it back.
Okay, can I get a motion to accept a donation of 57 Windows 11 laptops from Balin Group, LLC, valued at $14,750 for NCPS district use? Hugo, second. Kate, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
And now we've got another donation from New Canaan High School's PFA.
Yes, as the board is aware, donations at over $5,000 come to the board for approval regardless of source. This is from the high school PFA for history supplies, art supplies, coffee, gifts, and other supplies. It's a variety of different things that total up to the $10,000. As you know, our PTCs at the K-8 and our PFA, the high school, are incredibly generous to the schools. And it's an opportunity to say thank you to them, thank you for their generosity, and for always reaching out and identifying ways that they can positively contribute to improve the experience for our kids and life here at the school. So the total is $10,000 directly from the high school PFA, and generally they earn their money through the membership fees, and they do one fundraiser a year that lasts a week or less as they do that for the high school. And it's wonderful what they're able to do with the money, how they're able to enrich the lives for our kids. So
Great.
thank you for considering.
Can I get a motion to accept a donation from the New Canaan High School PFA in the amount of $10,000 for the fall grants? Laura, second. Brendan, all in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Comments from the public? Seeing none tonight. Announcements and future business.
Yes, a couple of brief announcements. One, our next meeting will be December 1st after Thanksgiving. So let me say happy Thanksgiving to the board and to our guests in the community. That meeting will be, we'll have a legislative update from the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education. Generally, we invite a representative from CABE to come to the board just to talk about things that may be happening in Hartford. Of course, this will be focused on educational things that are happening in Hartford. There's a lot going on there that people are talking about, and we understand why. At that same meeting, we'll have our budget assumptions and the related priorities for the upcoming 26-27 budget, which is right around the corner. We'll also have a first reading of our 27-28 district calendar, because we do generally like to be a year and a half or so in advance for people's planning. So we'll have that for you to review. Before that, though, we have Legally Blonde opening up here at the high school on the 20th. As you walked through, I'm sure, some of the set design in the foyer. So please, if you're looking for a wonderful night out, Legally Blonde will be opening this weekend. And it's a one-weekend show, so come on in if you can. After that, we have our traditional Turkey Bowl, where New Canaan will be playing against our rivals, Darien, to the south, football, on Thanksgiving morning, 10 a.m. here at Dunning. So hope if you are not traveling for Thanksgiving, or if you just want someone else to do the cooking, come on down and watch the game. And it's always an excellent football game. And here right at Dunning, what's home, we alternate back and forth with Darien. So next year it'll be in Darien. So come while it's close, and hope to see you there. Thank you.
Before we adjourn, I just want to say thank you to our first selectman, Deanna Carlson, for coming tonight, and to our town clerk, Claudia Wepper, for administering the oaths and presiding over the ceremony. And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn? Hugo, second. Josh, all in favor? Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.